David is viewed as a suspect in this case.
Multiple people were involved in the itself and dismembering and concealing of the body. But as you mentioned, David now considered to be a suspect.
Singer David has just been officially tagged as a suspect in what happened to Celeste Rivas Hernandez, and this twist has everyone talking loud right now. For a lot of people, this move doesn't sound shocking at all because of everything that's been stacking up against him, but it's still major news. Until today, the authorities hadn't said a single thing about David or whether he might be involved, so this shift is wild. Now, multiple solid news outlets are reporting that investigators have actually named him as an official suspect, and hearing David's name drop like that has the whole situation spinning even faster. But there's another twist that's turning this case into a storm, because along with naming him a suspect, these same outlets are saying David isn't cooperating fully with investigators.
David is viewed as a suspect in this case. That may seem obvious, but remember, they have not publicly said anything like that. They have not even said publicly that he is a person of interest. We've spoken to several well-placed sources in law enforcement, and they say that in the investigation, they are viewing him as a suspect.
This is huge news because for the last couple of months,
that kind of talk is a serious problem because it completely clashes with what David's PR team has been saying about him helping with everything from the start. So much has gone down in the past couple of days, and honestly, even in the last few hours, that it feels like the pressure is closing in fast and David can't move quick enough to keep things under control. Before these new updates dropped, there really hadn't been anything major since that moment someone found Celeste sitting in the back of David's car, which already had everyone stunned.
We are told they still do not have toxicology results from the medical examiner's office. However, what investigators do know so far is leading them to treat this as a homicide. They're still waiting for the medical examiner report to back that up, but they are viewing David as a suspect and viewing this as a homicide.
It's obvious the investigators are keeping their plans locked down tight, and we'll get deeper into why they might be doing that later. But today, things flipped fast when TMZ dropped a major report claiming a reliable law enforcement source has now officially confirmed David as a suspect in this situation. Hearing his name confirmed like that is a serious shift in the story, and people are reacting hard. This update is huge because for months, officials kept repeating that he wasn't officially listed as a suspect, which had folks online asking nonstop why his name wasn't being brought up. Some even wondered if there was some unexpected explanation, or if maybe he wasn't involved the way people assume.
What we're told, though, is the manner in which the body was dismembered leads police to believe that whoever did that to Celeste had help, that it was not something that whoever the person is who did it could have done by themselves.
The whole situation already looked complicated since another person named Celeste, who was fully an adult, had also been part of the picture. So a few people thought maybe the whole thing could have been a mix-up. But after what came out today, all those theories are getting tossed aside fast. According to this new report, David is now not cooperating, and that's what's causing such a major stir. The report even goes as far as saying he was never cooperating in the first place.
In the spring of 2025, they have information, police do, about David going to Santa Barbara County, a remote area of Santa Barbara County. That's how it was described to us. That he went to this remote area, spent several hours there, and then returned to LA.
Which totally clashes with what his PR team told everyone months back when they insisted he was helping with everything. This kind of contradiction is wild to witness. That update blasted out to around 13 million people, breaking down everything I've already mentioned and even more details that had everyone stunned. And for anyone who didn't get the alert or didn't read through the article, here's exactly what it said because some of the points make David and his team look seriously questionable right now. The article highlighted a quote from ABC, who were citing an LAPD source. They said, David has not been cooperative in the investigation, and whether that's because of legal advice.
The last date that we have that shows her alive is January 2nd, 2025.
Then, according to different surveillance cameras in the area, David's Tesla was seen around the neighborhood throughout May and finally abandoned in July.
That car, starting in May, was parked at a few different areas around that neighborhood. and then ultimately July 29th left in its final, parking spot on Bluebird. And this happens.
Fear of public backlash or something completely different. The public doesn't care about excuses when someone refuses to help in a situation this big. Even though he legally has the right to stay quiet, it sends a rough message, especially at a moment like this. The timing, the silence, the confusion, it all makes the situation look messy. And honestly, it's probably the worst choice he could be making right now. And it gets even heavier, because that same report claimed there's a possibility David may have taken part in handling or hiding the remains, which is a shocking detail to hear from a source tied to law enforcement.
That I have, and I don't know, what LAPD has, but there was some media left behind at the house, and there's photos from a camera that David was using, and the last photo of Celeste is January 2nd of 2025.
Wow.
These aren't internet rumors anymore, and they aren't theories from random commenters. These statements are being linked directly to investigators through major media outlets. And when you line that up with what TMZ reported, the picture gets even darker. TMZ stated that authorities already see David as a suspect and are treating Celeste's passing as a homicide, which changes everything. What's shocking is that the medical examiner has yet to determine the cause or manner of passing, according to the Citizen report, which makes this whole situation even more intense. For investigators to already lean toward the idea that something harmful happened and to be linking David to any part of it shows they must have some kind of information behind the scenes, if not a whole lot more than the public knows. Everything we're hearing now is creating a picture completely different from what people were arguing about online just a few weeks back. This is no longer internet noise or random speculation. It's not just drama or confusion anymore.
Now, without revealing what you found, right? Because some things you may not be able to reveal. In what you went through in the house, did you find any evidence of criminal behavior?
These are established outlets referencing law enforcement sources who are saying he isn't cooperating and that the case is being handled like a serious criminal investigation. That alone changes the tone in a huge way. And whether this ends with charges or not, today's updates are absolutely going to change how the public sees David moving forward, no matter what happens next. Before we continue, I gotta warn everyone. The next details are tough to hear and extremely heavy. The source also shared more about the timeline. We already know Celeste was discovered inside David's Tesla, found in a tow yard under tragic circumstances, and that moment shocked everyone. The same source confirmed that her condition was heavily affected by time, and that things were not found in a single location, which made the situation even more distressing. However, investigators have not said whether any additional remains were located anywhere outside the vehicle, leaving a major gap in what we actually know right now. The medical examiner is still working to piece together what truly happened, but one thing is crystal clear after today.
So, it's not a crime to think about doing certain things, but we found some things that had been delivered to the house that just don't belong there, or don't belong in any type of environment like that. And they are things that you could use to get rid of a person if you wanted to. And they're really, people say, oh, it's got to be tools and stuff. It's beyond that. It's really sadistic stuff. Now, LAPD didn't take it, but they have told us that they photographed it.
Investigators are officially treating this as a homicide investigation, even if the evidence they have right now seems limited. That shift alone shows how serious things have become, and it's turning the entire case into something way heavier than before. The source also mentioned that the medical examiner is getting much closer to determining the exact cause of Celeste's passing, which is a major step. Once that final report comes in, that's likely when investigators will make their move, and that could be the point where charges start getting filed and someone ends up in handcuffs. And speaking of arrests, we might not be looking at just one. Even though all eyes have been on David because Celeste was discovered inside his car, there's no official confirmation he was the only person involved. According to the same source, the way Celeste's remains were handled suggests someone may have had assistance, which opens the door to the possibility of more people being tied to this situation. It's disturbing enough to imagine one person taking part in something this twisted, but the idea that someone else might have helped in any way is genuinely chilling. At this point, we seriously have to start thinking about not just who might be involved, but why anyone would want to keep something like this hidden if it really does connect back to David. That's the kind of question that turns this whole situation into something even more intense. Another detail the source mentioned, and this one raised a lot of eyebrows, is that David supposedly took a quiet, unexplained day trip to Santa Barbara County earlier this spring. That's all the source was allowed to reveal, and nobody knows yet whether this detail actually connects to Celeste's case. But people online are already guessing that this might have been the last time he went to meet her. When you look at the timeline, it kind of lines up, which is why the speculation is running wild. And on top of all this, like I said earlier, the owner of the house David was staying in hired a private investigator to dig into the situation. This part matters a lot because private investigators don't operate under the same restrictions as police officers or public officials. They can chase leads, ask questions, and pull info in ways that law enforcement often can't do publicly. See, throughout this entire investigation, the police have been forced to stay extremely quiet, whether they actually want to or not. There are a bunch of reasons for this, but one of the biggest is the legal risk. If they accuse someone of a crime without enough evidence, they can get hit with a defamation claim. That's exactly why I've been using the word alleged so much, because until there's absolute proof that someone committed a crime, the law sees them as innocent, and that's how it has to stay. With all that said, it really looks like the internet has already made up its mind about David, acting like he should be locked up forever, even though nothing has been proven yet. Meanwhile, the police can't just talk freely the way people online do. If they publicly accuse someone without solid evidence, they could get hit with a massive lawsuit, so they've stayed completely silent until now. And even with these new updates, everything we're hearing is coming through private sources, not official statements. But like I mentioned before, the private investigator isn't tied down by those same rules. And according to him, the last confirmed time Celeste was seen alive was January 2nd, 2025. That detail hit hard because it adds a whole new angle to the timeline. The investigator also suggested that the car might have been moved around for months to confuse anyone trying to track it, which is wild to even imagine. But once the tour started up again, whoever was trying to keep things hidden couldn't keep up anymore. And that's how the car finally got discovered. None of this is confirmed, of course. These are still allegations, but the theory definitely has people talking. What we can say for sure is that her condition showed she had been gone for a significant amount of time, which lines up with the investigator's claims. The same private investigator also said that when he searched the house, he found a bunch of items that the LAPD had left behind, and some of it felt a little concerning, which definitely caught people's attention. It raised questions about whether the scene was fully cleared or if there were still pieces of this puzzle sitting out in the open. Even with all the new details and everything that has surfaced recently, TMZ reported that an arrest in the David Celeste case is not imminent, according to their LAPD source. And as frustrating as that sounds, it makes sense legally. Just because the internet or any of us think something looks obvious doesn't mean investigators can act on it right away. They have to build a case that holds up not just online, but in a courtroom where every detail gets examined. So when a law enforcement source says something like, not imminent, it basically means they don't feel confident enough to take that next major step yet. They're not ready to publicly say that David did anything that would put him behind bars. But that doesn't mean nothing is happening behind the scenes. It also doesn't mean they've ruled out any possibilities. It just means they're not willing to commit publicly until the evidence becomes solid and undeniable. Through all of this, it's important that we keep Celeste and her family in our thoughts as this case continues to unfold. All anyone wants is for the truth to come out and for Celeste's loved ones to finally receive the justice they deserve. If you want to stay updated as more info drops, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next one.